Yeah, hello, good morning, good morning. You're welcome once again. Today is Monday, and we're going to talk about tips on beading, specifically 6mm beaded bags. Please, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. And when you watch the video, just leave a like. It doesn't cost anything to leave a like and share for me and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe. And thank you to my old subscribers too. And thank you for all the views and everything that I really appreciate each one of you. So we are going to talk about flaps today. Flap. So today we are going to talk about, do we have to use bigger flap or smaller flap? Does it really matter? When do I use smaller flap? When should I use bigger flap? Or does bigger or smaller flap matters at all? So let's talk about that today. The first thing that I can say is flap do matter. Yes, it matters. No, it doesn't. But the yes is stronger. Yes is stronger. There are certain bags that doesn't even have a lock. They don't have a flap. They don't have a lock. I will show you one of them as the conversation goes on. Some do have flap, a smaller flap or a bigger flap. Some doesn't have a flap at all, and some doesn't even have a lock at all. If you look at this bag behind me, this is an open bag, you see. It doesn't have lock. It doesn't have flap. Holding it is your lock. And when you put it down, it doesn't open, you see? It doesn't open. So a bag like this doesn't have a flap and it doesn't have a lock. That is what makes it unique. You understand? That is what makes the bag unique. So let's come back to our topic itself. We have some bags that have inner flap. Some have outer flap. Some of the bags, the inner flap makes the bag very beautiful. Yes. If you look at this bag, this is a big bag. Sorry, let me adjust my camera. It's not supposed to do all that. Okay, let's continue. This is a big bag as you're looking at it, but it has a very small flap. You see, there is a detail here. There's a detail on this bag. So if I give this bag a bigger flap, this bigger flap is going to contradict with this detail. And the moment you look at the bag, you will first see the bigger flap before seeing the detail. But the main purpose of this design is for people to see this detail that we've done here. So in order for people to see the bag and we immediately see the detail, we'll give it a smaller flap. You see, we give it a smaller flap so that the moment you see this bag, your mind, your eyes will go onto the detail instead of going onto the flap. Yeah. So this is a big bag, but it has a very small flap just because of this detail that we gave to this bag. Let's look at this bag too. This is a smaller bag compared to the one that I just showed you, but this one has a bigger flap because this is a plain bag. There's no detail or anything here. So is this flap that is rather giving this bag some unique detail? Is this bigger flap that is giving the bag some unique look? So if I have to give this bag a smaller flap, it's going to be very raw. The bag will be very raw without any detail or any eye-catchy thing about it. So this small bag, the detail is is the flap, the bigger flap that we gave it. And this bag has its own detail, which we don't need a big flap to do to distract people from seeing this detail. Let me show you another bag too, which is a bigger bag but has an inner flap. The reason why we gave this bag an inner flap is because it's a big bag. So if we give it an outer flap, including this detail, this bag is going to be busy. And we want people to see this detail on the handle. So we're not going to give it a flap here, because if you give it a flap here, the bag will be busy because it's a big bag. But what do? We give it an inner flap. Because it's a big bag, we can't just leave it open like that, you see. Sorry, this are some of the things that I use for work. This is felt. These are some of the things that I use for work. So because it's a big bag, we can't just leave it open like this. We have to give it what? An inner flap, which closes like this. You see? Let me close it and show it to you. There's a rubber on my lock, so sometimes unless you remove the rubber, if not, it makes it difficult to close. You see? So you close it like this. You see? So that the bag will not be too open, because it's a very big bag. But if we should bring this flap outside like this, it's going to make this bag very busy. And again, it's going to take away the beauty of this detail, this small detail on this handle. That is one thing that makes the bag beautiful. That small detail on the handle. So, like I was saying, big flap matters, small flap matters, but it depends on what kind of bag did you make. I've shown you 4 bags, all having different unique style and different flap. One doesn't have a flap at all, it doesn't even have a lock. Another one has a small flap with a very nice detail on the handle. And then another one, a small bag with a very big flap, which the flap is actually the detail. You understand? Which the flap is actually what makes the bag beautiful. And then I showed you a very big bag which has an inner flap, because if we should bring the flap outside, it's going to make this bag very busy. And once your bag becomes busy without anybody holding it, it becomes very difficult for people to relate to that bag. So without wasting much time, know the bag you are making and know if the bag has a detail on it or it doesn't have a detail. So that is the best way I can explain the difference between a small flap and a bigger flap, or an outer flap or an inner flap. I'll make a special video on outer flap and then inner flap in our subsequent video. So thank you very much, and I thank all of you. Please subscribe, share, and give a like. Thank you very much.